So shoot, man. So this week's At Ease Cast is kind of a new venture in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of like a side quest there on.
I think we might have mentioned it in previous episodes that we are trying to reach out to local candidates for whatever offices, and today we hooked one.
Yeah, we got one. We got one. So, you guys noticing now for the first time, we got our new mics and everything in. And
hopefully, y'all notice a huge difference in audio quality.
Hopefully, we won't sound like we're doing this podcast from inside of a dumpster. Like I said, we're on a shoestring budget, but we found a good deal on these, and we'll go ahead and pull the trigger on it. But yeah, so for this week, we got Robert Taylor, and he's an acquaintance of ours, friend of ours, and friend of the program. We've known him for several years, and he's running for Precinct 1, correct?
Precinct 1, Coryell County Constable.
Coryell County Constable. For you guys that don't know, Coryell County is located in central Texas, just to the west of good old Fort Hood, now known as Fort Cavazos. It's a good place. That's what it says.
Says the guy who was never stationed there.
Right. Yeah, that's what it says on the front gate. I don't know.
It says the great place.
A great place or a good place or whatever.
Great meaning fucking huge.
Whatever the fuck you legs fucking want to call it. But
a leg all day. I never walked anywhere.
Yeah. But
it's on a tank.
But yeah, so I hope you guys like it, and
we're gonna go right into him and
go right into this.
Enjoy what he's got to say about what he wants to do and why he's running for office.
Hoop! Hot tan! Huh!
Yeah, use that shit, bro.
All right. Oh, welcome to the At Ease podcast with Hesco and James, and we got a guest here.
Very special guest.
Very special guest, near and dear to our hearts.
If you would, so we don't bumble this up, please introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Robert Taylor. I've actually known these guys for the better part of a decade. We served together at the Coryell County Sheriff's Office and, in other places since. So we all just happen to be veterans, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Where'd you serve? Just tell the people.
Do you really want to get into all that?
We'll get into that in a bit.
All right.
Rob Taylor is with us because Rob Taylor, for some reason, has decided that he is going to put his name in the hat for Constable, Coryell County Precinct 1.
Absolutely.
Outstanding.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you being here with us today.
Appreciate it.
It should be fun.
Yeah, we'll have questions, when it comes to that, so for the viewers, whatnot, like what is a constable? A lot of people gonna.
Well, a lot of people really don't know what a constable is.
No.
So, constable and sheriff are the only two law enforcement entities that are written into the Constitution. Mm-hmm. So the Texas Constitution actually outlines constables and sheriffs. So the sheriff is the highest law enforcement official in the county because the sheriff is elected for the entire county. Mm-hmm. Now, constables are in charge of precincts within the county. So in our county, for instance, Coryell County, we have 4 precincts. Mm-hmm. So you have a justice of the peace and a constable that serve in each one of those precincts.
Right.
Now, the constable does not report to the sheriff, and the sheriff does not report to the constables. They operate independently 100%. So a lot of people are like, well, is that like a chief of police? Well, no, it's not. It's still an elected position. So you're still the head of an agency, but you're not a chief of police. So if I was to have deputies, I would have a chief deputy, just like a sheriff has a chief deputy. Again, we just do similar things, but we balance each other out. For instance, the sheriff's job is 80% criminal investigations and criminal charges, etc., and 20% civil. Whereas a constable is the exact opposite, 80% civil and about 20% criminal. But we all do the same things, just in different ways.
Oh, that's pretty.
So we got 4 constables for 4 precincts. About how many people are in your precinct number 1?
So approximately, I'd say 12,000 to, I take that back. Probably closer to about 20,000.
Okay. And Precinct 1, just roughly, for people that know Coryell County, what does Precinct 1 cover?
Precinct 1 covers the entire west side of Copper's Cove. So pretty much from where 2657 and 190 merge up,
Okay.
that vicinity, all the way up to the Pig Coke area and towards Evant.
Okay.
So that's the entire precinct.
Okay. So most of the territory is rural, but you got a chunk of the city on the south side.
Yeah, I have the west side of Copper's Cove.
Right. Okay.
So south and west.
Now, with the different precincts for constable, how much do the constables work with each other to achieve whatever goals constables make?
It all depends on the constables themselves.
Okay.
I know both of the constables. I've known them for years. So, because it's an elected position, it's paid for by the county.
Okay.
So Sean Camp is Precinct 2. Guy
Okay.
Beveridge right now is Precinct 1. He's the incumbent.
Right.
That's the one that I'm running against.
I got you.
And I've never had an issue with either of them, per se.
Right.
So it depends on the situation as to what's going on, how they're going to work with other people, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Now, why did you decide to do this?
I mean,
Because
honestly,
it's batty.
say again,
It's batty. It's
batty,
yeah, like batty.
as in
yeah,
bat,
yeah.
bat crap crazy.
Yeah.
No,
you
it's
can
not.
cuss on ours. It's fine. We don't filter. So
I get it. I get it.
I mean, I can do the beeps and stuff for curse words. So
No, I'm good.
That's not-
Usually I don't cuss unless I'm actually making a point.
I
rare.
went
So-
into quite a rant before, and
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, I gotta beep that.
No, it's a very simple concept for me. I want to do the job full time.
Okay.
Okay. And again, love Guy to death. He's a good person. His heart's in the right place. But he's very focused on his business and going out and doing trainings all over the place.
Okay.
And that takes him out of the county a lot. And I get that. He's trying to take care of his own. But we also, as the elected officials, have to be here to do the actual job. So, I mean, the platform I'm running on is community, honor, and integrity.
Right.
So I say community because community's first.
Mm-hmm.
Your family's part of that community, so that falls into it.
Right.
Yeah, we looked at constables almost like you remember warrant officers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you had to do something with coffee and cigarettes just to get one to appear. Every now and then, like you just didn't see them. And,
Yeah, and
constables tend to kind of be ghosty like that. So it's
well, I mean, a lot of people know who Sean Camp is, but very few people know who their constable is.
Right.
right.
Specifically in this precinct.
Right.
A
like
lot
you
of
said
people
earlier,
don't know
very
who
few-
Guy Beveridge actually is, and that's the citizens.
And very few people even know that constables exist
Exactly.
or
So
what they do.
exactly. So constables go out and do the writs of possession. They do the evictions. They do the, serving all the different types of civil paperwork. And then they also do the traffic stops, the criminal investigations. It all ties together.
They can. They do it. I think that you guys. I think I don't know if it's your precinct, but the one you're going for. But they also have a little bit of court security details at
Well,
the municipal level. But
Again, we work with the Justice of the Peace.
Constable, they were the bailiffs for the.
They are. So the Justice of the Peace and the Constable work hand in hand. Again,
Right.
the Constable doesn't report to the Justice of the Peace,
right.
and the Justice of the Peace doesn't report to the Constable. They work independently of each other. But you are responsible for the security of the court inside of your precinct.
Okay.
So as the Precinct 1 Constable, I would be responsible as a bailiff for Judge Gwynn
Right.
in his Justice of the Peace court.
Wow.
And considering I was in charge of courthouse security for a few years up there in Coryell County, I think I know a little bit about that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's good.
Now, with running for constable, what kind of goals have you already set for yourself? Say you win the election, you take the seat as constable. What kind of goals, short-term goals, do you have to correct or to implement things that you want to get done? What kind of short-term goals do you have, like say within the first 6 months of taking office?
Okay, well, I was teaching at the Coppers Cove High School when I decided to do this.
Okay.
I still reserve, as a matter of fact, at Gatesville PD. So I've been an active commissioned peace officer for the better part of 10 years now.
Right.
So one of the biggest things that I would like to see happen is because Coppers Cove High School and the ISD, administrative offices in Precinct 1, I would like to get a lot more community involvement.
Okay. How do you plan to do that?
Well, I already know all the teachers, I already know all the administrators,
Okay.
and I have a lot of students that I've taught there over the last couple of years. So getting them involved in the different things, like working with the explorers with the Coppers Cove PD, going in and doing the lectures with the Criminal Justice Club at the Coppers Cove High School, tying in together and getting them prepared for CTE competitions, for the Career Technical Education, Skills USA, et cetera, et cetera. Making sure that they're prepared for all those competitions and that they're still successful. Because the last 2 years that I've been teaching there, they've gone to state both years and won state level gold both years. Haven't had any go to nationals yet, but still working on that.
That's good. That's good. So you got the kids in the schools and the teachers in the ISD. How are your connections with local businesses, local business entrepreneurs, restaurant owners, small business owners?
I know quite a few of them.
Okay. Because I know that can help in community as well.
It does. And that's another goal of mine, is to start getting out there and talking to these guys so they see what a constable is and what they do.
Okay.
Talking with property managers, working with them on the different issues that they might be having. That's one of my goals when I start the full campaign process. Getting out here and talking to all the smaller businesses, find out what they need from the constables, explain to them how the system works, so they understand that they have another tool that's a useful resource in their little tool belts, so that we can make sure that the community is getting tied together. Again, working with the sheriff's office, working with the local PD, because I know almost all the people that are in the local PD and at the sheriff's office.
Okay.
And having those good relationships with the different law enforcement entities tends to make life a lot better for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, so we can honestly say you're on the campaign trail right now. You're just in the very beginning, starting to get out there and starting to get the word out, and hence the purpose of our little get together, and just try to get the word out and let people know who you are and who is this guy and what you do and what it is, because your competition is pretty stiff. This guy's held the position successfully for
10 years.
Yeah, I don't know.
Going on
how many
12
terms.
years.
Yeah.
So 3 terms?
Several terms.
He was appointed in 2012.
Appointed or elected?
Appointed.
Really?
So whenever Roger Fott died in 2011,
Oh, okay.
he was the Precinct 1 constable at the time. Guy was a deputy constable at the time, and he was holding the interim constable position, and they appointed him in 2012
Okay.
because there was nobody that ran. So he actually was appointed to the position. So this would be his, third. No, his fourth.
Yeah, we're right around there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
But like you said, and this platform will also be available to other candidates too that
Well, of course.
reach out
Yeah.
and talk and see it's I think it's a good tool to get you guys kind of project your
And kind of modernize the campaigning.
yeah,
thing,
trying
so.
to project your message to a larger audience. Because you know how voting goes.
It goes like this, dude. Like I said, I'm standing on the platform of community, honor, and integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So community, I think we've covered that.
Yeah. Oh,
You know, honor. This is not going to be a mudslinging, dirt flying contest.
No, I mean,
and that's just the way it is, because he's an honorable man. He's a veteran as well. I have nothing but respect for him for what he's done. Okay, so this is an honorable election, if you will, whenever we get down to the nitty gritty of it. And what I mean by honor is, whenever you say you're going to do something, you do it. And whenever you give your word, you keep it. That's the definition of honor to me. And integrity, a lot of people like to say they want transparency in law enforcement, being brutally honest. The very nature of law enforcement, you cannot be 100% transparent 100% of the time.
I have to agree
There
with
are
that.
certain things that we have to hold close to chest because of investigations, people's civil rights, their rights to privacy, specifically children or victims, etc.
Or just proper decorum.
Or just proper
Yeah.
decorum, exactly. So integrity is releasing the information that the public absolutely desires, but still maintaining the privacy and the dignity of those people that we're still serving. Because everybody wants that when it's them that it's affecting. So you have to be able to draw those lines in the sand. That's why I say integrity is so important. Because transparency is great. You're as transparent as you possibly can be. However, there's certain things that you just cannot be transparent about
Right.
in the definition that other people want.
Right.
Yeah. Man, no, that I gotta agree with you on that. It's definitely super important, but there's a line that you gotta kind of straddle, especially as a constable, you may be dealing with some of the more unpopular aspects of law enforcement, like evictions and writs
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I've done a couple myself, and
It's not fun, is it?
No, it's not fun. It's not fun. It's granted, that's another thing that so the viewers may not understand that constables and law enforcement, we're all human too. When we get these things that we have to execute, these writs of possession and these evictions and stuff like that, I mean, we're not fans of it. But it's part of the lawful process of our civilized society, and for whatever reason or the other, they have to be carried out by officers like you, me, and stuff like. It's part of the job. It's what we have to do. Now, those are highly unpopular at times, because of different circumstances. But it's one of those that it's tough to explain to people.
Well, you're absolutely right. It
Yeah.
is. I mean, for instance, we'll go with driving while intoxicated.
Right.
So some people think it's perfectly fine to drink a couple of beers and go out and drive. And you know what?
Correct.
As long as you're not intoxicated, it is perfectly fine.
Right.
However, your rights end when they start infringing on other people's rights.
Exactly.
So going back to the First Amendment, you can say whatever you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you're saying something and somebody disagrees with you, you don't have the right to tell them they can't say it.
Yeah.
Because that's their First Amendment right. It doesn't just stop with me as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at the bigger picture, and that's the community.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to unpopular, I happen to like to drink a couple of beers myself. But you know what? I won't get behind the wheel of a vehicle when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So it comes back down to personal ownership and personal accountability.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, this county's seen its fair share of drama and stuff when it comes to many different aspects. And,
Oh, yeah. That's
a
every
lot-
county
a lot
out
of
there,
that
though,
is
brother.
a lot of that is beyond the control of any one of us. It's just, and even those that were appointed above us have, they can't monitor what these guys do in their off time, whatever. But it's important that the people understand your profession, what your job actually entails, and that you're going into it, with the best of intentions. It's,
Right.
And that's you were teaching at Coppers Cove ISD for a while, a couple of years now. I think you taught my daughter for a minute there.
I did. I remember.
So
Yeah, she had to change up in the second semester, if I remember correctly.
I don't know what she did. She changed to another class or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was one that she needed for graduation. She couldn't do the LE one anymore.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, man, you got
I was enjoying the conversation.
I was like, no, it's good, man.
I don't just butt in with stuff. I'll wait for a good pause moment.
No,
That's fine.
And there's no, another thing. Since we discussed the similarities, and a lot of the things that regular, what I consider regular street cops and regular police officers, deputies, and whatever have. The training is all the same for you, for your position, correct? Everything is, do you have to go to anything once you're, say you win, you know, and everything,
So,
you have to go to some kind
It's actually written into T-Cole and written into state law that a constable has to have an additional 20 hours of certification every 4 years. That is strictly civil law.
So above and beyond what?
Above and beyond what a normal
Okay.
police officer does, because city police officers, DPS troopers, etc., they cannot do civil law at all. They cannot serve writs of eviction. They cannot serve writs of possession. They cannot do
Only
any of that
elected
civil
offices
paperwork.
can. Sheriff's office and constables.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, sheriff's office doesn't have the requirement that a constable's office does in that aspect.
Okay.
So the constable has to go through those 20 hours of extra training every 4 years so that they still maintain that level of expertise when it comes to civil law.
Right.
And the reason behind that is when you fail to execute a writ of possession, when you fail to execute that eviction, et cetera, that's actually a criminal charge that could be brought against that constable or that deputy constable.
Yeah.
So it has to be done in a very specific manner.
Yeah, but this is a command from the court. So,
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah, so
So you have to be on your P's and Q's. You have to
yeah.
make sure you do it right.
Right.
So are you planning on expanding your, if you do get elected and everything goes according to plan, you're gonna expand your office?
I would love to, but that's not up to me. That's up to the constituents, and that's up to the county judge and the commissioner's court. So the long and short of it is, getting some deputies would be awesome for the constables, because then we can still work with the sheriff's office, the local community, etc.
Right.
I'm a firm believer in people being SWAT certified. I'm a firm believer in people being mental health certified, crisis negotiator certified, hostage negotiator certified, because police officers need all those skills, not just part of them.
Well, I mean, you deal with it on evictions.
You deal with it on everything.
All of the above.
Exactly.
I've seen it. So it's, I mean, we've dealt with all of that in the course of executing civil paperwork and civil stuff. So
Yeah.
It's a thing. But you, for the most part, operate solo.
Pretty much.
So that's about as cowboy as it gets there, man.
I mean, yeah, you're a lone trooper out there.
That's what you gotta put some pearl grips on your. You gonna get knocked
I don't
out.
need pearl grips.
1911 with pearl handles.
Nah, I'm good.
Get an old single action.
I'm still a very firm believer that my mouth can solve most problems.
Well, I mean that's we're hoping that's where it stays, that they don't need to go anywhere outside of that. Usually, it's a good day for everybody involved. When you
Exactly right.
talk people down and.
Yeah.
So we talked quite a bit about what is a constable, what you hope to achieve as a constable. Pretty sure anybody that's listening to this lives in Coryell County is probably going to be one of your constituents or a potential voter.
Mhm.
Why should they vote for you?
I mean, honestly, I'm not going to sway them one way or another. I'm just going to be honest. So, if they want to vote for me, that's entirely their prerogative, because that is their right as a citizen. What I would like to see happen is them come out and vote for me so that they know that they get somebody whose main focus is solely the constituents of his precinct.
So right now you have no other constraints on your time, no other concerns.
No, the only
Nothing
other
else?
thing I'll be doing is teaching at the police academy.
That's adjunct instructor stuff, right?
Yeah, that's a part-time gig, so I can help out the academy
Right.
and make sure that I'm putting my spin on some of the stuff they're learning.
So for people that are not understanding, the adjunct instructors at the county academy, well, not the county, but at
The college
the
academy.
college,
yeah.
the county college there, Central Texas College for our county. That's as they go through the progression of their core studies, they'll end up in chapters that are specifically dealing with, say, constitutional law or arrest, search, and seizure, and all these other things. And sometimes the staff they'd rather have somebody that specializes in a particular area to teach that chapter. So adjunct instructors are usually brought in, especially with like defensive tactics and stuff like that. You know, then you bring somebody that's apt in that specializes in that, and gives the student the best bang for their buck. You know, So that's what he refers to as when he's talking about teaching at the academy part-time. It's just a brief period of time while that academy is going through that particular chapter that he'd be designated to teach. He'll go in there, teach that chapter, bounce and right back to you guys to do the work that needs to be done. So it's it's not a terrible time-consuming thing, but yeah, and it serves everybody, because a lot of those officers that come out of that academy end up serving in your local sheriff's office and end up serving in your local agencies that surround the immediate area here in Central Texas. So it's always super cool to have guys that specifically trained in one area. You've been doing that for a hot minute, but you've been teaching mental health and all these other things for a while now. So,
dude, I'm firearms,
that's not
firearms,
strange.
defensive
That's
tactics,
not-
mental health, all of it.
That's right on your wheelhouse. So yeah.
That's why I decided to do school teaching for a little while, to see how that went with the kids.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And that just got me thinking whenever I was there, hey, you know what? How can I impact the community more? And that's why I decided to start doing this.
Oh yeah.
I talked to my Mason brothers, and they're all about it. They're like, yeah, man, get out there.
Yeah. So you so basically, what I understand, that the major differences that'll differentiate you from the incumbent is more time dedicated to the actual task at hand in the actual elected position. Not that the incumbent is doing a terrible job, but he's just not there as much as people want him to be.
That's pretty much.
That's what I got. That's what I understand.
That's pretty much how I feel about it.
Nothing against the incumbent. Guy Beveridge is a good guy. So I mean, I've known him for a while now, and
he's not a bad guy at all.
And he can come on board here on the podcast and BS with us too.
Never met him.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah.
Aw, come on, you gotta know Guy Beveridge, man.
I know who he is. I know what he looks like. I have never actually met him.
No kidding.
No kidding. I worked night shift for 5 years. Yeah, I never met him.
Well, yeah, I mean, I worked night shift too, but I mean, I ran into him quite a bit. I mean, we did a couple joint things out here where he'll go do an eviction and it just goes south, and then like, oh no, and then we got to go out there and help him out because somebody's like, I ain't going out, I ain't leaving, and we got to bring the cavalry in.
So we might have passed each other a couple times in the office, but
Huh.
I've never actually met him. So,
All right.
but I got a question for you.
Sir.
So, your past experience as military and law enforcement, that's what you're bringing to the table as a constable, yes?
Yes.
All right, most of it. I know you have other experiences that you're bringing to the table, but the bulk of it's going to be in military and law enforcement, right?
24 years military, almost 10 years in law enforcement, yeah.
Yeah. I would like to know, what is one mistake that you have made that you had to correct to carry on?
As far as
what you got in military or law enforcement, something that you fucked up and you had to correct it to carry on. Like you never made that mistake again. And you told everybody not to do it because that's where you messed up.
Brother, there's so many. I mean, honestly, I don't even know where to begin on that, because here's the deal.
How about within the last 5 years?
The last 5 years. Okay, when I was the deputy chief over here at Central Texas College, working as a sergeant there, because sergeants are deputy chiefs.
Right. Yeah.
Whenever came to back me up on a call, I had just actually I didn't even pull him over. He was parked in the middle of the road. And as the further I got into this investigation, the more crazy it was. So the long and short of it is, the gentleman had been arrested multiple times for drugs, distribution, etc., possession, you name it.
Right.
He'd been arrested multiple times for invalid driver's license, DWLI, driving with license invalid.
Yeah.
He'd been arrested multiple times for unregistered vehicle.
Okay.
And this time it was because he had a temporary tag that was unregistered. And it was actually, he had written over a few things, so it had been tampered with.
Got it. Yeah, it's getting better and better.
And
it got worse.
It got much worse. So the long and the short of it is, I'm going through all this, and he's sitting there. He's like, "Dude, what's taking you so long?" I'm like, "Come on, man. I'm trying to get all this stuff done.
It's the longest traffic stop I've been on.
It just, one thing snowballed into another thing. Longest traffic stop I've ever been on in my entire career.
Yeah, we were there for a hot minute, man.
I think it lasted about a total of 45 minutes.
Bro, the crimes kept rolling long after we released the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
what did you fuck up on?
what I fucked up on, excuse my language, was
It's fine.
I had
fucked up.
failed to see the handicap placard in the vehicle.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, because I was focusing on everything else. His girlfriend that was with him, she had a warrant for her arrest for prostitution.
Oh, nice.
You know, he had just been released from the Bear County Jail for the exact same thing I was stopping him for, et cetera, et cetera. And anyway, I had missed that, so of course, you know, Eric comes along and he's doing his search of everything. And he, hey, what's this, man? And it just happened to be a handicap placard that had also been tampered with.
Oh.
So I took that in as evidence, and, you know, the one thing that I tell my students, that I tell the kids in the academy and stuff now, I've told other officers, even my own officers, hey, when you're getting into this stuff, don't get tunnel vision. I got tunnel vision so bad that night, it wasn't even funny.
Okay.
All right, but I was alone. And then I had to leave the campus to take him to jail, and I was the only one on shift.
So the campus was without.
So the campus was without security.
Right.
Of course, I had to talk to the chief about that the next day, and I tell him, okay, well, you know, what else could I have done?
Right.
He's like, well, you could have had the guy from Coryell County take him up. And I'm like, he was responding to other calls.
Right.
You know, I can't just let him walk away.
And y'all's facility responsibility as CTC is Bell County, not Coryell, right?
Well, it's both.
Oh, he was yeah.
It's both?
It's
both.
Okay.
It's dual
Just depending
county.
on. Yeah, I know the CTC is on
He was
both.
right there before Bell Tower, so that's ours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was ours. Yeah.
No, it was actually,
It was his sector.
once you get to the
Coryell
Kate
County.
Center on CTC, that's where the line is,
Okay.
between Coryell and Bell.
Gotcha.
So the Kate Center where they do automotive and all that other
Yeah.
stuff, career and technical education. Anyway, so it was a Coryell County one, so I had to drive him all the way to Gatesville,
Yeah.
you know, book him in up there, and then drive all the way back and do my case report up.
No matter how he could have sliced and diced it, I mean, he could have driven him. He could have driven him to. He could have driven him to Coppersville PD, but that's a whole different can of worms when it comes to the paperwork
Exactly.
for magistration.
And I'm not
He could've
familiar if they have an
Yeah, well,
agency agreement with.
the nearest detention facility.
Yeah.
You know, it's
That
what
could take 'em.
CCP says. You know,
Yeah.
what the Code of Criminal Procedure says. But the nearest one that would have been seamless was still far.
Yeah.
So Bell County.
There's a lot
Couldn't take him to
further
Bell
than
County
Gatesville.
because it was in Coryell.
He could have taken him to Bell County, but that wasn't the closest. Coryell was, so and it's still over 25 miles either way, no matter
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
go. So it's
So that's one of the mistakes that I made that,
that was
You learned your lesson from and made sure you passed that lesson on to others.
well, when you get tunnel vision, you get tunnel vision.
Okay.
And you know that all three of us here have served on the same SWAT team together.
Yeah.
So tunnel vision's a very real thing. We all know that. So you always have to keep your head on a swivel and make it as expeditious as possible.
Yeah, we all learn a little bit about that traffic zone. That was a good one.
That was a very good example.
That guy, man, I don't even know what happened to that dude. But he had violations and other crimes that just kept
Oh, dude.
coming out long after he had been thrown in jail. Like
Yeah.
the next day after that.
Mhm.
I mean, it just is this chick, the chick that was with him. She was. They ended up not knowing each other. Like I guess he probably picked her up.
Well, she
as
was
a-
wanted for
like,
prostitution. He
yeah,
probably just
Well,
picked
her daughter
picked
lives
her
in
up as
Coppers
a
Cove.
Yeah.
Picked her up as a prostitute. you
Yeah.
know, so she
Probably.
So the other thing I didn't do was I did not confirm her warrant because I had enough going on dealing with him. So I allowed her to go to her daughter's house. Her daughter came and picked her up.
Yeah, but that's not terrible.
No, that was just a judgment call I made.
itself.
Right.
But, you know, again, you have to look at the big picture.
Right.
And when you get tunnel vision, it's very hard to see it.
Gotcha. So keeping on with your experiences, tell me about your, or tell the listeners about your, the experience you got from the military that you're bringing to the table as a constable. And what
okay.
would help you out as constable in Coryell County?
I joined the Army first in 1988. When I first joined the Army in 1988. I went on to basic in
I
early
think like
1989.
first time, like you joined twice, or?
Nah.
Okay.
That was Signal Corps.
Signal Corps.
Yeah, I started off as Signal Corps.
Okay.
So I was actually high school dropout. Didn't even have a high school diploma yet.
No kidding.
Yeah. I scored very high on my ASVAB.
Okay.
Wound up being told that I was able to go ahead and join the military, but I had to have my GED completed prior to finishing AIT.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, between basic training and AIT, I took my GED test. Aced it. It wasn't really that hard.
Right.
And got my GED. But I got certified as a high-frequency radio operator, 31 Charlie, single-channel radios, AM radios, and all that. So in a RAT rig. So we had radio teletype systems. We had high-frequency radios, giant freaking antennas that you would have to set up. You know, they could transmit upwards of, 2,000 miles, et cetera, et cetera. Got certified on VSE, which is satellite communications, fiber optics, all kinds of different things.
Back in the 80s you're talking about?
Yeah.
So this is cutting edge stuff.
This is cutting edge stuff. And I was bored out of my skull. So anyway, I first went to Fort Riley, Kansas, where I worked as a 31 Charlie and a 31 Victor.
I've been there.
So I had to repair radios and
Had nothing there.
do the other stuff. I was in a tanker unit.
Oh, God.
I was one of the last people to PCS out of there in 1990. I'd been a PFC for about a year at that point.
Okay.
And Iraq had just invaded Kuwait.
Right.
This was in August of 90. In September of 90, I PCS to Germany. So I was one of the last people to leave the continental United States and go to Germany. Get to Germany, I'm thinking, hey, cool, I got out of it. Because my unit deployed to Saudi Arabia,
Right.
shortly after I left. And anyway, I get to Germany, I'm with a air defense unit. So I wind up being with 443 Air Defense Artillery, Patriot missile systems.
Right.
And I'm doing the same job, so I'm doing radio stuff. And anyway, we get alerted and we go off to Operation Desert Storm in January of 91. So we fly to Tel Aviv, Israel. So I'm in Tel Aviv, Israel, and because they don't really need any high-frequency radios, I get handed a PRC 77, and I'm the RTO for the infantry platoon. So I'm going out with the infantry platoon and, calling in all the freaking patrols and grids and everything else that we're doing while we're in Tel Aviv. Have Scud missiles coming in. We're shooting off the Patriots to keep the Scuds from landing in Israel, keep them out of the war. And we got Syrians coming over. We got Egyptians coming over, all kinds of Palestinians. Nobody wanted us there, obviously. Saddam didn't want us there. That's why he kept launching the Scuds at us. So anyway, I fell in love with being an infantry guy. Fast forward to 92, and we wound up in Kuwait and Saudi Arabia yet again. And so I was the RTO for the infantry platoon yet again. But by this time, I'd already been promoted to Spec 4. I was promoted to Spec 4 and right before we went over to Desert Storm. So I got promoted to Corporal. And so now I'm RTOing for those guys again, but I'm also a team leader at the same time. So it was interesting. Get back to the States, go to Carlisle, Pennsylvania, actually Fort Ritchie, Maryland first, and I go to Carlisle, Pennsylvania at the War College, where I'm in charge of a section, and got my promotable status to sergeant, go off to PLDC, reclassify infantry, and go to infantry school down in Fort Benning, get that knocked out, come back a few weeks later, PCS to Fort Lewis, Washington, where I'm a team leader for, at the time it was 25th Infantry, then they moved me over to 1st Armor Division, where I was with 4-8 Armor, which became 123 Infantry, which is now Strikers. Back then it was Mech Infantry. So, left Fort Lewis, E5 promotable, and went to Korea, where I served with 2-9 Infantry, the Manchus. I'm still affiliated with the Manchus to this day. Did a few of those freaking Manchu miles.
Yeah.
Got a couple of belt buckles, couple of coins, fun times. Come back from Korea, come here to Fort Hood, and I'm now a staff sergeant. Go to BNOC, get my staff sergeant pinned on. And they kept picking me to go to Bosnia or Kosovo. And I had already been waiting for over a year because you can't go to BNOC from Korea at that time.
Right.
So I'm finally getting to BNOC down at Fort Benning, Basic Non-Commissioned Officers Course. And so I can finally get promoted to Staff Sergeant. So when I finish BNOC, they finally promote me to Staff Sergeant. Have to backdate my freaking rank. Get picked up for Drill Sergeant, go on to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where I trained a bunch of Joes. Come back to Fort Hood, Texas. Deploy in OIF-2 with 19 Cav. So we were stuck on Haifa Street for about a year. And you know about Haifa Street.
Yeah.
That place sucks.
All too well. All too well.
So I was a E7 at that time, a sergeant first class. Get back from Haifa Street in 2005 and get picked up for my master sergeant, PCS up to Fort Drum, New York. And I take on the operations sergeant, operations NCOIC for an ACRC unit, where I pick up 5 battalions and 2 companies that we have to train. So I've got all the active duty guys, so several E7s and a couple of E6s. And we go off to, Pennsylvania, Maine, Maryland, freaking Massachusetts, New Jersey, etc. And we're training all these National Guard units to go over to, Iraq or Afghanistan so they can fight.
Yeah, this is pre-surge too.
It was right there at the beginning of the surge.
At the beginning of it, so
yeah, I was busy.
They're punching out those units pretty quick.
So I volunteered for the transition teams to get out of there, and I wound up being a combat advisor for a year and a half as the Ops Sergeant Major for the Headquarters National Police. So I'm in Iraq again, training the Iraqi National Policemen. We only had about 35,000 of them, nothing major.
Fucking shit show.
Actually, the National Police were good. The Iraqi Police sucked.
Yeah, that's what I was with the IPs.
So I was with the National Police. These are the guys that we brought the Italian Carabinieri in to train because they're actual national police, like the Gendarmerie, Carabinieri, et cetera, et cetera. So they were different. They had the blue digital uniforms before the Iraqi police started wearing those. I was there during the Sur Square whenever Blackwater went and killed a whole bunch of people. So we brought in the FBI to do the investigation on that, which is what shut Blackwater down. Got done with all that stuff, came back to Fort Hood yet again, and then I became the Alpha 19 Cav First Sergeant. Or excuse me, Alpha 18 Cav First Sergeant. And wind up in Iraq yet again, 0910, as the Alpha 18 Cav First Sergeant for an infantry company. And we were at Kirkuk, at JSS McHenry, just little JSS about 60 miles south of Fob Warrior in Kirkuk. All by our lonesomes. Got mortared regularly. It was fun. Had to drive up there, at least once a week to Fob Warrior to get rations and stuff.
What year was this?
This was in 0910.
Oh, no.
Same year I was up in Solomania.
Yeah, I've been to Solomania. I did that when I was a transition team guy.
I was stationed at Camp Toe.
And when did you retire?
2012.
2012.
So when we got back from Iraq, I took over Headquarters Company, 1A Cav.
Okay.
Did that for about a year. Then they appointed me to be the 2nd Brigade Rear Detachment Command Sergeant Major for what they call the UME program. So we were the pilot program for the Army for unit maintained equipment.
Gotcha.
So instead of sending all of our equipment off to get redone at Red River, any other Army depots, I actually had just under 1,000 soldiers as the Rear Sergeant Major. My boss was a Lieutenant Colonel, so we were the actual battalion command team for the Rear Detachment. And I had, 5 actual First Sergeants and 1 E7 promotable.
Yeah.
And we had 5 actual captains and 1 lieutenant promotable, first lieutenant promotable. So we actually had a full battalion with a full contingent of companies and maintained $1.1 billion worth of equipment. Did the pilot program for it, wrote the books on it, stood up a new dining facility, put the entire brigade into renovation. So the brigade headquarters, 4 of the battalion headquarters, and 28 of the 31 company headquarters with arms rooms we put into renovation to include our chapel and 4 motor pools out of the 6 motor pools. So while they were gone, we got all that done. as well as training soldiers to go over and replace, wounded, or other casualties, and receiving people back that were being sent back for whatever reason came up. So I had the largest battalion inside of the brigade at the time.
Right. So your last duty assignment before retirement was a rear D?
Rear D Sergeant Major,
Gotcha.
yeah.
So all that time, how many years?
24.
24 years. 24 years in the Army. Yeah.
Yeah, did the combat infantry, did the freaking expert infantry,
So
Pathfinder, air assault, drill sergeant, you name it. Got it all.
You ever got your airborne wings?
No, that was the one school I wanted, I never got
shit
it.
talk. You just can't miss an
Fucking
opportunity
leg.
to talk shit, can you?
Hell no, fuck it. You know I'm gonna give them some shit. I got to, man. I got to. I'm
So
sorry.
here's the
I got
deal,
to.
though. Because I was a Pathfinder, guess who set up that freaking drop zone for you, dumbass?
Yeah, the leg.
Yeah, the Pathfinder.
You know, if he yells hard enough, or loud enough, I may still pop into parade rest. You know, that's a fact. He puts a little. How are you?
24 years in the Army.
That still makes me.
Yeah,
twitch.
so I retired from there. I went straight into corrections. Did a little bit of time at the Hughes unit,
Okay.
and decided I didn't
So you
like
worked
being
at
in a
TDC
prison.
before you...
Yep.
Okay.
So I went straight into law enforcement right after, criminal justice right after I retired. I'm saying criminal justice because
Right.
corrections is not law
It's
enforcement.
not law enforcement. No.
It is not.
Keep telling them that when I pulled them over. But
Yeah, they don't want to listen. But anyway, so I did private security while I waited for the academy to come up in 2014. So
Okay.
2014, I did the academy, went to work for Cove PD. My son moved up to Dallas with my ex-wife whenever she decided to move. So I left Cove PD and went to work at the sheriff's office so I could actually see him on weekends.
okay.
Did that for several years. Left there to go to CTC, take over that deputy chief position.
Right.
Got to where I didn't really like the politics too much of how it was structured for the police department. The chief is a great guy. Dex Ferdinand, he's an old friend of mine. We worked together in Cove PD.
Yeah, that dude's a legend.
Oh, yeah.
Worked with him when I was a sheriff's deputy, working patrol, before I went on to, mental health training and courthouse severe security sergeant and SWAT team. So I've known Dex forever. But anyway, I didn't like the way they had it structured there. So they offered me a job teaching at Coppers Cove High School because I got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice and, criminal psychology.
And when did you go to university, or did you college, or when did you get your bachelor's degree, and where did you?
I finally got it finished late 2016,
Okay.
and it was awarded in early 2017. So that's when they actually gave me my degree. But hey, I got some cum laude,
Yeah.
so I think I did all right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For a guy with a GED, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You come a long road. You take a couple bumps, on the
Oh,
noggin
shit,
too.
dude, I've
You've
taken
been-
a couple of potholes.
You've been beat up too, so it's it's commendable that after all that, you still got your damn daggone degree, and
Well, it's important.
Yeah. No,
It's
yeah,
important.
That's commendable, man.
I mean, you've got your degree also, if I remember correctly.
It's in the
I've been-
closet
I've been
somewhere
pl-
next to
I've
the
been-
whiskey.
I've been plucking away at mine for like 20 some odd years now. So
It took a while,
Little bit of-
better part of 30 years, but it
a
happens.
little bit here, a little bit there, but
But yeah, and so I taught at the high school for a couple of years. Went to work Gatesville PD as a reserve, working in the CID office, doing mental health training, firearms instruction, defensive tactics, etc.
yeah.
Still do all that. Been a firearms instructor, defensive tactics instructor, mental health. We just did a class last week for mental health. So we had a good time with that. Taught guys from Oklahoma all the way to El Paso and then surrounding area to include a couple from the SO. Got another one at the end of the month. We're going to be teaching some more mental health.
That's good.
Hey, being a mental health officer is a very important thing, and that's one of the things in the community I want to get back because the sheriff's office no longer has a mental health unit.
Yeah, they have a guy,
He works patrol.
so
He's working patrol right now.
yeah.
But they're also down a lot of officers right
they're
now,
down,
a lot of
they're down
deputies.
a lot. Yeah, they're down a lot.
So I get that.
Yeah, it's it's what it is.
Exactly.
It's what it is. I don't even want to dive into that. That's just, but they are short. So mental health is an issue across the entire United States. It's
Well, I mean, when you were working with me when I was your FTO, and you was doing mental health, you the same, if I remember correctly. No, you didn't do mental health. You just did courthouse security for a short time.
I didn't do courthouse. I was a bailiff.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Back then, that
same
was
thing.
courthouse security.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they transferred.
Now it's two different.
Yes.
positions.
Now it's two different things. Because I was in charge of all the bailiffs back then, then they fell under the
Yep.
judges. And that's when we started up courthouse security, because they had wrote that new law, and we had to separate the two of them.
Right. Yeah. I got out of there before that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Escaped
So-
rather.
Yeah.
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 Hey,
Trying to escape and evade in a road guard vest, but I did it.
Yeah.
But,
That's
mental health is a very interesting job. Probably one of the most dangerous jobs as a law enforcement officer you can do.
yeah. It's dicey.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with somebody that's legitimately out of their mind. It's because you'll get as mental health officers, you get dispatched sometimes, and it's not quite all there. But there are times where it's like the people call us like, hey dude, this guy's naked and he's got his entire living room in his front yard now, and he's watching TV. He's got no pants on. And you're like, okay, all right, I'm on my way. And you talk to this dude, and hey, what are you doing in my house? I was like, I'll borrow you in the yard.
Well, where the pucker factor comes up is whenever you're dealing with that combat infantryman
Yeah.
who's
we've had a
got some
couple
serious,
phone
we'll say, stability issues, and has boarded his entire freaking house from the inside with, 3/4 inch plywood and wood screws, and he's armed with an AR-15, a couple of handguns, and a few shotguns. And you have to talk him out.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's
Yeah, so it's. I mean, well, in hindsight, it's an interesting thing to deal with, but it's dicey while you're in it. It's kind of.
It's dicey, but again,
dicey. It's rewarding when it comes out. Was a successful outcome. But
well, I still stand by the belief that because of everything that has happened in this country in the last 30 years, actually we'll say 40 years now, law enforcement has truly become the gatekeepers of the mentally ill. And it's not law enforcement's fault. It happened.
Yeah.
When they shut down all the asylums and got rid of all those mental health beds and everything else, who is it that you have to call to deal with the people that are mentally ill or that are in a mental health crisis?
Yeah, but I mean, it's the logical phone call to make. It's for any citizen out there. It's you got somebody acting not well, and
Right. Where the problem we run into is, as law enforcement, we're trained to react.
Yeah, we're
We're getting a lot better at the mental health thing. Don't get me wrong.
We're getting. There's a lot of. It's like I've always said, like law enforcement is seldom there before the crime. It's usually the horror movies got it right on the nose. Like after the sun comes up, that's when deputies show up.
Yeah,
That's not. But that's not law enforcement's fault. It's just
No.
that's the way.
This isn't Minority Report. We don't have precogs to tell us
yeah.
when a crime is about to happen.
Yeah, crimes are taking place, and when somebody gets a chance to call, then we initiate our response. But with mental health, it's just kind of
It's a whole different
a whole
world.
different can of worms, man. Because I've had mental health calls that I have to initiate because I witnessed it.
Hmm.
I'm driving down the road, and there's a man doing karate to a building.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that guy's beating the hell out of a solid brick building.
Yeah, might want to help him before he hurts himself.
This is gonna suck.
The total understanding that mental health is a huge part of what law enforcement does today.
It is.
Yeah.
And I know that you are a trained and certified mental health peace officer, and you also instruct mental health to other peace officers. How much does the constable's office have to do with mental health or responding to calls for service for mental health?
So
Because personally, in my experience, it's 0.
I was going to say right now, I know the guy Beveridge wanted to take on the mental health aspect of that.
Okay.
Way back whenever they first started talking about the grant for the mental health side of things. I would like to take that ball and run with it. So,
And try to get a mental health service for the constable's office.
not necessarily a mental health service, but get all of my deputies, if I am able to get deputies,
Right.
mental health certified.
Okay.
Because quite honestly, that's a tool that they need. And to have the ability as, deputy constables to go out and help with these types of calls. Because I know that the sheriff office has their own mental health officers. I know that Gatesville PD, Coppers Cove PD, et cetera, they have their own mental health officers and even their own mental health task forces. But to be able to help out in that aspect is something that we can help out the community with. Because what happens whenever you have a mental health officer from Coppers Cove responding to a mental health call? Well, there's already at least one, if not two, police officers there from Coppers Cove.
More than likely. Yep.
Then at least one of them has to stay with that mental health officer when they get there, and they determine whether they are going to put that person under emergency detention or not. And that's a process. It takes a couple hours. It's not just cut and dry.
Yep.
And so that's two police officers right now that are out of circulation. They can't respond to calls or anything else.
So what you're wanting to do is make yourself or make any deputies you happen to get tools available to the law enforcement agencies
Exactly
to respond to
And
mental health
also
crisis.
be available to help out as SROs in the high school or the middle schools, et cetera, et cetera.
And along the same lines, I know you're saying if you get deputies. So how much of the county budget goes to the constable's offices? Now, I won't even say offices, just precinct 1.
To be perfectly honest with you, it's not a lot.
Okay.
So
'Cause I know the county pays for the vehicle.
they pay for the vehicle. I believe that it's either 42 or 43,000 for the constable himself,
Okay.
and that's
I've
it.
never looked it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's the
can't
pay
remember
for the
off the top.
constable?
It might be less than that.
Right.
Again, it's not about the money for me. I'm retired, so this is just nice to have a bonus.
Right.
But the long and short of it is, if I was to get deputies, that's a fight that I would have to take. And I say fight because it will be a fight. Because you
county
guys were
commissioners.
there when we were trying to get budgets approved for the sheriff's office, for pay raises, and et cetera, for the deputy
I
sheriff.
wouldn't say there. I was more like a fly on the wall. I just came in at night and heard all the stories.
So, but it affected you, is what I'm getting
Oh,
at.
yeah.
So, we're going to say it's going to take a lot of convincing of the commissioners to allow that to happen.
Okay.
But at the same time, as you pointed out earlier, I'm a lone ranger out there. If I'm alone doing an eviction, how much more dangerous is that?
Oh, yeah, lots.
Oh, it could be outright.
Got a taser.
So, I mean,
But like we were saying earlier, I remember plenty of times. Like we've been out with constables. I've been out with the North Side Constables. I don't remember what their names are.
That's Jimmy Daniels and Teddy Brock.
I think Jimmy Daniels is the one I was out with.
Yeah.
But we've been out for
And both are good
evictions
friends.
to help out
They're
the
good people,
constables.
too.
Okay, so you do have a good rapport with the other constables in the county.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now,
I know all of them very well.
What about the county commissioners?
Commissioners, we've got some new ones. I am not a fan of the county judge.
Okay.
I'm sure he already knows that, and I've told him that to his face.
Okay.
So, quite honestly, I wish the other
I'd love
guy.
to have him on the show too.
Go right ahead.
yeah, it's a.
I firmly believe that he is not putting Coryell County first.
Okay.
I believe that he is putting himself before the county in many aspects.
What makes you say that though?
The jail.
All right.
We'll just use the jail as an example.
Yeah.
So, they had approved a bond
I'm trying to
for
come
the
from the
jail.
perspective of people who have no idea what Coryell County even is. So
Coryell
that's why
County-
I know what you're talking about, but we need to
So Coryell County-
elaborate so that people are listening that aren't from around here know what we're talking about.
Coryell County is about just under 1,100 square miles.
Okay.
It goes from here at 2657 and 190 all the way up to Jonesboro
Right.
in the north.
An approximate population
goes all
of
the
about
way
84,000
to-
people, mostly concentrated in Coppers Cove.
All
and
the way to
Gatesville.
the left to Evant and all the way to the east to Oglesby
Right.
in McLennan County.
Right.
So Evant is Lampasas, Hamilton, and Coryell County. McLennan County and Coryell County on the east. Then you have Bosque and Hamilton County on the north.
Right.
And you have Lampasas, Bell County, and Coryell County on the south.
Right.
Okay, so we all touch.
Mm-hmm.
Fort Hood comprises, a couple hundred square miles of that inside of Coryell County.
Right.
And it's about 80 to 85,000 citizens, give or take.
Right.
Okay, we also have one of the largest prison densities in the state.
That's right.
Because there's six prisons
Yeah.
and one state jail, which is technically a prison, felony level, 2 years or less.
You got Lindsay State Jail up there? Is that what it's called, Lindsay?
No, Murray.
Is it Murray?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
I was never TDC. I don't know.
they're all up there. So you've got 7 prisons up there in Gatesville.
Right.
So that's a lot of prisons.
Yeah.
To include the Hughes Unit, which is one of the max security prisons for males in the state of Texas. And then you've got the...
Well, you got female death row up there, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Then you've got the Valley, which is female death row. Or is it Mountain View? Mountain View.
Mountain View.
Don't
is
get me
the
lying to
female
you. I
death
have
row.
no idea. I'll take your word for it.
So female death row is located in
Right.
Gatesville as well. So it's an important county, even though it's a rural county.
Right.
We have I-14 running through this county. We have US 84 running through this county. State Highway 116 running through this county. State Highway 36.
Yep.
So we have a lot of different avenues going through this county.
83,
It is the
281,
back road thoroughfare. If you don't want to hit the highways, you're probably going to go through Coryell County between San Antonio and Austin or Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah, because 287 hits Coryell County.
Right.
Or excuse me, 281.
281. You're right. 281.
Yeah, 281.
And 183.
For like a mile of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and 183. So they both hit Coryell County, and those are major thoroughfares, going all the way from, as you said, San Antonio to Dallas.
Yeah.
So it's 36. It goes all the way up to Fort Worth, if I remember correctly. And actually, it goes
That goes east to west.
yeah, it goes towards
it does go
Amarillo
south,
and all that.
Yeah. 84 goes east to west.
Yeah.
And I-14 is eventually going to connect El Paso to Savannah, Georgia.
Right. So we established Coryell County. Now, what were we talking about the jail?
So the jail right now is about 92 beds.
Okay.
They had a bond approved, I want to say it was in 2010, 2011 timeframe, in which they never built a new jail, but they approved the bond to build a new jail, which was supposed to be 256 beds. Okay, so it never got built. So they did another vote on this back in, I want to say it was 2020. And in 2020, right before the pandemic got really bad, or was it 2019? Might have been 2019.
It's somewhere in there, man.
So that time frame, they voted to have the jail, built. And our county judge wanted to push that off hard because he didn't want to have a jail. He didn't want to have that new jail. Now, here's the thing about Coryell County. We spend almost $1.5 million every single year to house prisoners out of county. So in that 92-bed jail that we have, we can only actually occupy about 80% of it. You guys were both jailers. You know how this works. Because you have to have empty beds for whenever arrests are made. Okay, so we'll have somewhere around 85 prisoners in that jail at any given time. And the other 90 to 100 are housed out of county. Milam County, et cetera.
Whatever county happens to take them. And we have a contract with
So we
them.
have to pay all that money to those out-of-county services instead of keeping them inside the county. Whereas if they built that jail, a 256 or even a 300-bed jail for Coryell County, they could turn that into a justice center, put the sheriff's office up there, have that all set up in that
As
area.
well as other law enforcement offices. Yeah.
As well as have offices
Because I know
for DPS.
has an office
et cetera,
next to the
et cetera.
sheriff's office. So do the game wardens
Exactly right.
and the park rangers.
Exactly right. So there's your law enforcement center. Gatesville PD is its own entity. So you would have all those 160 to 200 prisoners that Coryell County has, and you could put them into that jail and have beds left over so that you could start housing from out of counties as well.
And what would that do
So
for the
now
county?
you're saving $1.5 million by not housing out of county, and you're charging upwards of $110 a day per prisoner that you bring in from other counties.
So making the county revenue.
And then on top of that, you've got that 92-bed facility get a little bit of renovation in there, and now you can use that for the same thing, or you could use it to house those prisoners being transferred into the different prisons inside of Gatesville. Which means that you could almost triple that money that you're spending by just building a new jail.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And our illustrious county judge refuses to see that and would rather just spend the taxpayers' money on housing out of county.
Yeah.
Now here's what I want to go with this. So, you're running for constable. Other offices are up for election the same time constable is,
Right.
as well as sheriff, as well as I think all the constables are up for re-election right now, right?
Yeah, all of them will be.
Now the county judges, I'm not familiar with how the county judge or the
2022
county
is when he
commissioners.
was up.
So they do every other, so like the legislative years instead of the executive years, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So none of the county commissioner seats are open.
I don't
for this
believe so,
re-election?
no.
Okay. Well, my question was going to be, why did you go for constable and not for, say, sheriff or county commissioner or county judge? Why
Honestly,
constable and not another office?
Because sheriff's office is established.
Okay.
The county judge office is established.
What do you mean established?
I'll get there.
Okay.
Okay. The commissioner's offices are established. They all know what they're doing. They all have these positions where they have very specific guidelines on what they are doing on a daily basis.
Okay.
The constables are established. However, I wanted to get into a position to where I had a voice to be able to work with the community for the things that we actually need. Okay? I don't want to give up my law enforcement position.
Right.
And I don't want to be in charge of the entire county.
Okay.
Okay? I live in Coppers Cove. I want to focus most of my attention where I live.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So I understand that. And being from Coppers Cove, I don't think I would have a very good chance of getting a county judge position or a sheriff's position because I don't live in Gatesville. And ironically enough, Gatesville is what drives the votes for the entire county when it comes to those positions.
But Coppers Cove being the population center of Coryell County, if Coppers Cove votes a certain way, it sways the vote for the entire county.
It can. The problem that we have with Coppers Cove is far more transient than Gatesville. So we have a lot of people in Coppers Cove, and this is not anybody's fault by any stretch of the imagination.
It's the Army's fault.
Right. Yeah.
That are active duty military that
It's the
come
Army's
here
fault.
Army don't make no
and they
mistake.
leave. And it's just the nature
Right.
of the beast.
Yeah.
And it's because of where we're located.
Right.
So,
It's a military town. It's a military area. It's always going to be very transient as long as the base is here.
and Gatesville is not as transient as Coppers Cove
Right.
is.
Right.
So it drives a lot more of the votes when it comes to county-wide elections.
Gotcha.
Now, precinct elections, that's a whole different animal. Okay? People will come out and vote, but they're only going to vote once, at most, in Coppers Cove. So if there's a runoff of any type, Gatesville will carry that particular,
Right.
election.
We can go out and do some rubbings on tombstones and get us some more votes. What?
Again, ethics, man, ethics.
What's wrong with it?
I think there's Democrats in this room, bro.
No, I think we're all Republicans in
Hey, if
here.
it works right,
Yeah, I mean, right?
it worked the last time.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. I'm
think
not gonna
that's somebody's
go down that
motto.
road, no.
Yeah, that kind of value, it takes away from the what this man is talking about. But did the recording stop on that?
No, I got a message.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's a valid question. I mean, but I think you got a good look at why, because what you want to do is better achieve from the sheriff's seat. I think you and I both recognize that.
Probably, yeah.
It's better achieved through the sheriff's seat. However, the sheriff's seat is a royal pain in the ass.
It's got to be.
It's a.
I've got no
there's
experience
So
with it,
many,
I mean.
There's so many moving pieces. There's so many.
There
moving
is.
Pieces. And look, I may have my personal opinions the sitting sheriff and whatnot. But regardless,
Would love to have him on the show
we
too.
would love to have him on the show because regardless of what's transpired, through the years and whatever, I don't give a damn about any of that. That's water under the bridge as far as I'm concerned. But that position is rough.
It's a hot
It
seat.
has to be.
So I
It has
compare
to be.
the sheriff's position the same way that I compared being a rear D command sergeant major.
Oh man, it's hurting
So-
cats.
It's very difficult.
It's
But you got
hurting
experience for that.
I do. However, Again-
That's not good experience. Though. That's a bad experience.
I'm not going to take anything away from that because I'm not going to say my belief on experience. There's no such thing as a good or a bad experience. No such thing. I don't believe in that.
I beg to differ.
Oh yeah.
All right. What I believe is an experience. How you take that experience is what makes it good or
You've
bad.
never passed a kidney stone, have you?
I have. All right.
That's a bad experience.
All right. So you've learned to drink cranberry juice, haven't you?
Bad experience. Yes, sir.
All right. So that was a good experience. It taught you
Yes, sir.
something.
I sure did, sir.
So the one thing that I used to tell my students in my mental health class, the best experience I ever had in my life was when my father committed suicide when I was 16 years old.
Holy shit! This podcast just took a left
Yeah,
turn.
that's,
All right,
So
yeah.
let me explain.
Pretty
All right,
dark.
All right.
All right. My dad committed suicide when I was 16 years old. And the reason that is the best experience that ever happened to me is because had that not happened, I probably would not have joined the military a year after he died.
Huh.
I probably would not have made the military a career.
Life changing.
I probably would not have gotten my bachelor's degree in the degree that I had gotten. I probably would not have gone into law enforcement. I definitely would not have gotten mental health certified to help people in those types of situations.
Bam.
And I definitely would not have been able to teach high school kids how they can use experiences to be a positive influence on their life, regardless of what that experience is.
Bam.
So an experience is not good or bad. What you do with it is what's good or bad.
Bam. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Well said.
Well said. Because that's a rough one, and so I understand that is fear of losing touch with
Exactly.
with your fellow constituent, your fellow man. For lack of any other word.
You can't lose touch.
Just losing touch because the sheriff's office, the seat of the sheriff, you will lose touch to an extent because there's just so much stuff going on. And look, the current sheriff that's sitting in there, he's had to deal with
A lot.
a lot. I mean,
He has.
some of the things I don't agree with how he's dealt with them. Some of them, but you know what? At the end of the day, I've never been in his shoes. So and
Those
I
hard
haven't-
decisions are hard to
and I
make.
haven't seen them. I haven't seen those decisions move through his eyes. I haven't seen that kind of stuff. I've been in charge of way more people than that sheriff's office has ever had. And some of the viewers that know me can certify that. I've been in charge of many places and many different amounts of people, many different soldiers and private contractors and all kinds of stuff.
When I did private security, I was a chief security officer, and I had
But-
almost 100 officers. So I understand that.
Yeah, so I've had to deal with the woes of command and all that, and but that is a position that you would definitely not be able to achieve what you told me that you wanted. What you told us that you want to achieve.
Right.
Too many moving pieces.
It'd be too broad of a position. So you'd lose that laser focus.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other peripherals.
There's method to the madness.
Of course.
And
Of course.
again, it's
Don't
nothing
give us all
against
your-
Guy, but I have an idea of what I want to have happen. And it focuses on community, honor, and integrity.
Well, so
And that's what I want to bring to the table.
So I look at it this way. There's a reason why even fantastic software gets patched.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you'll get, there's a 2.0 of somewhere of something always. There's always bugs to work out and things to iron out and kinks to freaking work on. So I like that. But
I mean, and
Well,
again, as you said earlier, we're all human beings. We're all
Right.
going to make mistakes.
right.
learning from those mistakes is what makes it, what makes you and your character your character. Not repeating those same mistakes over and over again.
Right. Because then it's just... Yeah.
Well, that's Einstein's definition of insanity.
Yeah, I'd say.
You have answered all the questions that I wanted to present,
Yeah, you got...
and I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
Yep.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Oh, man, it's good to see you guys.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Hell, I thought you fell off the face of the earth there for a minute.
Oh, dude, I've been so busy. Trying to get everything in line. Dude, I'm making money for one of my kids' tuition, and it's just that I've been
I get it.
I've been busy. But yeah, I've been going through classes and schools and trainings and all this.
I tell you what.
I've been go for since December. Was it December? November.
October.
Was it October?
October.
Damn, yeah, since last October.
Wow.
Yep.
Since last October.
Because I just got my license.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So it was right.
Is that the end of September and in early October?
In October.
Yep.
Because I bought my house, and then so right after, about a month after I got that mortgage.
Yep.
Is when all the madness started.
Yep.
Wow.
But that's, no.
But you're up there, so you're having a good time.
We're up at somewhere.
The one thing that I don't know a lot of people know about me is this is my third marriage.
Okay.
My first wife, her and I just didn't get along.
Mm-hmm.
Second marriage lasted almost 10 years, and I was just deployed all the time. Active duty military is hard on a marriage.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met the love of my life, and she is amazing. Almost 14 years together now.
Mm-hmm.
And combined, we have 6 kids. I've got 5, she's got 1.
No, nice.
And he's the one that just graduated high school.
Right.
So I've been raising him since he was 4 years old now.
Right.
And you know what? It's been awesome.
Yeah. I know I've met your wife. She's a lovely lady.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
a lovely lady.
So I've got a registered nurse. I've got a couple of entrepreneurs. I've got one with a business degree, one with a financial degree, and one in the paramedic and fire academy right now.
Cool.
And this one, he's talking about becoming a cop. Maybe.
Talk him out of it.
I'm going to tell him, just like I told all my other kids, I'm not going to sway your decisions. Your life is your life. I just want you to have a good career to fall on, and he's going to have an associate's degree at least before he goes on to do whatever.
Yeah, my dad said that shit to me when I said I was joining the Navy. I'm not going to... Bullshit.
Yeah.
So,
Dad was an Army combat medic.
when I talk about community, and whenever I said earlier on in the broadcast that my family is part of the community, I truly mean it.
Yeah.
4 of my 6 kids graduated from Copperas Cove High School.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, so you're ingrained. You definitely got your roots planted here, solid. So it's I can see where that it makes sense. Is what I'm getting at. Like,
yeah.
Like for me, it makes sense because when I first heard the news about you running for that constable office, I was like, "But why?"
Yeah, that's why I reached out to you.
Because
why?
I already know your makeup. You're retired. You got this. You got that. You got a lot of irons on the fire that are not time consuming, but just things that you do already. And I was like, why the aggravation? Like I could see and I was like, why not sheriff and why not the other? But you've answered all of that tonight.
Yeah.
And then some. And it
That's
makes it.
Thoroughly
makes
enjoyed
sense
this conversation.
To me.
It's great.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. But in closing, where do we find you on social media? How do we support? How can the regular person out there support your campaign as you start ramping up for these elections? I'd like to get if you give yourself a shout out there and put out your email address or whatever you want, your Facebook page. You'll forward all that to me. I'll tag it on the last edit there, so you'll have it. So
I'll just go ahead and send you the QR code.
We can post a link to
post a link
to your campaign,
and all
social
that.
media on this video that we're gonna post this to all of our platforms, and that's YouTube, that's Rumble, that's Twitter, that's Facebook, and then it'll be on their
I'll give you the QR code for it.
I got.
And that's got the link on it that'll take you straight to my Facebook page.
Okay.
All right, so I'll take
Yeah, it's going to be for Robert Taylor for Coryell County Constable Precinct 1.
And that is on Facebook, yes?
That is on
That is
Facebook.
on
Okay. Do you have any other
Facebook.
social medias?
I don't do other social media.
Okay, so just Facebook and say the title one more time.
Robert Taylor for Coryell County Constable Precinct 1.
All right.
Right on.
So if anybody is looking to see who they want to vote for Precinct 1, Coryell County, you can look up this gentleman here. It's Rob Taylor. And
Yeah.
Rob, I've had a great time.
Yep.
It's good seeing you, James. Good seeing you, Eric.
Yes, sir. And, all right. That was interesting.
Yeah, good conversation.
Interesting conversation. We
Yes, good responses for my questions, and
yeah,
try to pick his brain a bit about where he's been, what he's done, and
yeah,
where he's wanting to go.
yeah. I believe he's got his heart set on this, and for in my honest opinion, for all the right reasons.
Right.
Hopefully, he's afforded the opportunity to achieve the things that he wants to achieve with the position if he were to be elected. And also for all of those other people that are looking into candidacy into this upcoming election, this format is also open to you guys or gals.
Please,
So-
if you are a candidate or you know a candidate, you can either reach out to them to contact us, or you reach out to us, and we'll try to contact them and get them on the show. We'd love to have all of them on.
Get you guys on the show. Give us a piece of your mind. Let us know. Let the voters know what you got going on in your life and what you got going on and why you want to do things. And
And let the constituents decide.
let the
if you're a
constituents
good
decide.
candidate.
I think we're just opening a new avenue for you guys, on the local scene, for for you guys to further your campaign, your respective campaigns and whatnot. And it also helps drive traffic to our site because we don't just talk about political issues. We talk about just everyday current events
Sorts of
and
random stuff. Yeah.
random stuff. And but these political interviews and stuff like that we'll do, they're of great significance because local elections are super important.
Yes.
They're
They don't get a lot of press, but yeah, your local elections, in the grand scheme of things, are a lot more important than
Yeah.
the national elections.
and it doesn't matter if you're situated in Central Texas or somewhere else in Texas. If you can make it out to us, we also have availability of doing this stuff over Zoom and
That's
some of
right.
these other things. So there's different ways. There's different ways to skin this cat, and we can get it out to you. And you can go ahead and drag that link all over your campaign pages and whatnot. And it's good conversation, get to know you, get the word out. So no matter what county you're from, there's a lot of elections going on all over Texas. So if it reaches out people, West Texas, North Texas, don't matter. Let us know what you're about, what you got going on, and we'll put you on. It's not a bad thing. I mean,
absolutely.
we had a really good time with Robert, and had a really good conversation. We had conversation offline too, catching up because we haven't seen each other in a while. And I think it's good.
Yeah.
It's good for the county. It's good for the people. It's good for the candidates. It's not bad at all. But hope you like it. Give us a like, subscribe. Don't forget that we're also on we're on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, and we're on many different platforms. I'll leave a link to our email, and so if you guys want to forward that to candidates, or candidates want to reach out to us, that'll be probably the best way, just to go ahead and send us a.
On the bottom, on the description of this video, there will be a link for Rob Taylor's Facebook
Rob
campaign
Taylor's
page.
Facebook campaign.
If you want to reach out and support him, let him know that you like him as a candidate, or you just want to take a look at what he has on his page. Go ahead and take a look at what he's got.
Yeah, for all these guys, the incumbents and the new guys coming in challenging, they all have they have a long challenge ahead of them when it comes to the campaign trail. A lot of it takes a lot of money, and it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of effort. We're trying to lessen that burden wherever we can, for all candidates, regardless of party, whether you're Democrat or Republican or Independent. It doesn't matter to us. We like to hear perspectives from all different angles, and it don't matter. So we're not here to toot the horn of one particular person or one particular party. So whatever you got going on, we don't care how crazy it may be. We don't give a damn. We'll put you on and put the word out, and whatever you're about, we'll get it out there. But so feel free to reach out to us. We're definitely not gonna go ahead and pound pavement looking for y'all. So if y'all want to get something out there, then we'll hopefully this gets to you guys, and word of mouth goes a long way. But don't forget, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next episode.